My film, Special Ed, a narrative feature-length film, is about a special education bus driver, Eddie, and he drives one of those small yellow school buses. He picks up kids that have Down syndrome, autistic kids, kids with anger management problems. And the film starts with he and his trusty aide, Rosie, picking up a kid in a wheelchair, a young man about 18 years old, very muscular, very well built. And in the course of driving him to his clinic, they almost have a wreck. The name of the young man is Matthew Allen Job. I do get into a discussion about the book of Job in the Bible, about how bad things can happen to good people. And this young man just erupts and has this wild tantrum and almost causes a wreck. And Eddie nor Rosie know why, but Eddie's determined to help this kid. One of the backgrounds to Eddie is that he was in the Iraq War. He was in the campaign for Fallujah, in which there was a lot of horrible fighting, and he got caught in a crossfire where he's afraid that he probably killed a number of kids, and that has haunted him for the rest of his life. So he comes to the decision that if he can possibly help Matthew in the wheelchair, maybe he can redeem himself from these horrible things he did in the war. But the only thing he can really offer is Shakespeare. After he gets back from the war, he drives a cab in New York, something I've done. It's a lot of fun once you get into it. And he was an actor in New York, and he got into the Pennsylvania Shakespeare Festival, which doesn't exist, but it's patterned after the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. And it turns out he loves Shakespeare, and he loves acting, and he's got practically a photographic mind, and he has all these Shakespearean quotes just ready to spring out, much to the annoyance of all the people around him usually, because he's always got something from Shakespeare spurting out, you know. So he's going to try to help this kid, and the only way he can do it is with Shakespeare. There's a love story when, right near the start of the movie, Eddie's sister, Rachel, calls him up to meet at Moby Dick's. I don't know if you remember Moby Dick, but I remember Moby Dick maybe 30 years ago. And she wants to have him come down and meet a friend of hers, Jordan, who was played by Stacia Rice. And Eddie, by the way, is played by Peter Christian Hansen. And they meet down there and they start to get to know each other. And then Eddie, while they're down there, learns more about this kid in the wheelchair. And it brings back memories about the war. And he has this flashback, and he almost has a drink. He's been driving the bus for a while in his second year of sobriety, and he almost has a slip here, but things don't happen that way, and he has to leave the restaurant, but he does try to find Jordan later on in the movie. A lot of the movie is autobiographical. I've been in a sober program for about 22 years, best thing I ever did. I was an actor in New York for a while. I drove a cab, and I had a good friend out here in Minneapolis. I came out here to continue acting, and I did, but I was drinking too much and finally sobered up. And through my sobriety program, I got a job at St. Louis Park Transportation Company, which is right around the corner, driving a bus. I picked up a young man in a wheelchair. At the same time, I was working through my church on a youth musical on the book of Job, which is not one of the most exciting books in the Bible. It's all about suffering. But a lot of Job is very dramatic. And I began to see, you know, maybe this bus driver picks up this kid and he wants to help him. What's the background to the kid? What happened to him? And so I started putting all these things together in Special Ed. When I got the email, and I wasn't expecting it, I don't know why, from the Twin Cities Film Fest, that I was accepted, I could not believe it. It was just made my day. I just read it over and over again, because you submit to a festival and, you know, it kind of disappears. And so when I got the email, it was just delightful. And I ran up and told my wife. We jumped around for a bit. I came back and wanted to read it again. Yes, I have been accepted, and got on the phone and called my producer and called other people about it, because it was just delightful, and I'm honored to be here.